What's up, Wobblies? Make sure not to drive your old man crazy asking him for crazy shit. But at least let him know you're doing alright. Because he's in an electric wheelchair at the moment. So take it easy. And your father's aware of the things going on here in Austin. Konnichiwa. Erokonaishimasu. Hello. Welcome. Bienvenue. And hello, wobbly subscribers. I'm a little sleepy still, as I just woke up again. This time feeling a little more refreshed and less, well, downtrodden. But I think this has a lot to do with substantial energy problems. And yes, I am listening to a soundtrack. Yes, my VODs are openly available for anybody who wants to listen to see them. I must go down south and save as many turkeys as possible. I have to take down these evil turkeys. And yes, I'm playing a game I used to play. Let's now play kind of in full swing. The Ash 12. the only revolver featuring a 12.7 millimeter ammunition. It's 50 cal, but it's not the normal 50 cal. It's Barrett 50 cal ammo, also known as the M2 cartridge. .50 caliber has the ability to penetrate approximately up to 63 millimeters of armor, depending on the type of ammunition. If you're using the blackout ammunition, you have the ability to penetrate up to roughly 70. All depends on distance, speed, and accuracy, and tensile strength of the material you're hitting, which determines the armor penetration values. Ooh. Nice try. And the siren goes down. Fuel siren down. Pew, 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 pew. Pow, 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 pow. Still kind of sleepy still. Nothing my Excurant can't solve. None that has the firepower of a friggin' semi-automatic rifle. Particularly a carbine's standard fire rate. In fact, believe it or not, the Excurant is currently my most powerful rifle in my inventory. If it didn't have such a slow fire rate, it actually would be the most effective rifle to use in combat if it fired this fast on a daily basis. Is the Excurant 14mm worth it? And it sure is, because if you're constantly working a Sekranon bunker and doing missions here, you're going to have plenty of 14mm. Roughly in a single loot run, I can accumulate more than 10,000 rounds of 14mm. That's why most of my ammunition usually ends up being 14mm, and I sell off about roughly 4 to 6 stacks of this stuff. I'm gonna pick up the hunks of wood for barricade kits whenever I get back. Very important to make barricade kits. Saves you money down in the long run, but also can save you when you're in a southeastern zone. One more, 2 more basically. Two more. Gasoline roughly never drops in its price, so it's always stable above 20 grand. Okay. I think after this block right here, we should make a left. See, since there's always an abundance of 14mm, the ammunition's price range does fluctuate. And with fluctuating prices on bullets, 14mm doesn't always guarantee you more than 14 to 15k. Sometimes if an event happens, ammunition gets eaten up faster, so it's pretty much going to be a lot more abundant or less abundant, which increases the general overhaul of ammunition that you get to offer. And then he walks off into the distance, disappearing. And yes, if you want to know, these scientists actually are armed with mediocre weaponry for this particular zone. I could probably sit there for like 3 or 4 minutes and the guy's just shooting by himself. Like this dude, mediocre weapon. He's got melee on hand. So if you came here with an assault rifle, you might make it, but you have to literally stand next to these guys in order to get dialogue out of them. The dude literally 007 faded away. It's like 007 NPC fade away. Except for this guy, he seems to have a Beowulf 127. Yeah. They at least kept opening fire. Yeah. These guys, the last two had 12.7mm machine guns. Which is pretty good when you really break it down. I think I killed that leaper before it killed me. Would have been problems for capturing the XP that I needed. Okay. I'm gonna go inside this low quality loot building, also known as a miniature warehouse, because there are much larger ones available, but they're closer to Sekrenon Bunker. Might be able to pick up some loot I won't normally get elsewhere. So let's see if we can get out of this building. I'll take some 12 gauge. Right now 12 gauge is going for roughly 15 to 16,000. Hit the caviar, why not? Now keep in mind, if you go to the southeast end zone, you have a higher weapon loot chance and higher 120 stat armor loot chance. And you have a higher chance of finding stuff you may need. But the thing is, you want to have at least a couple of barricade kits sitting in a storage. And in most cases, you want to at least dedicate one whole page of extra storage. You want to dedicate an entire page of extra storage compartments for barricade kits at most. Okay. This is the manager's office. This is the warehouse manager's office, and then you got the sales manager's office up top. This is likely the employee storage room. You know, for a warehouse, for it to have a cafeteria, it means that the company actually cares about its employees eating. So, you know, it's actually pretty interesting. When you really break it down, you don't see that no more in certain companies that you go working for. You know, they don't have a private catering or anything like that that happens throughout the time. And there are no catering services that work throughout the night. Now, in some companies in Japan, they do have actual catering services that actually happen 24/7, 365, except for on holidays. It's like damn near 24/7, 365 in Japan with some types of catering companies. Some of them operate even during Christmas, but you have to set up a schedule every year, and it's a literal waiting list. Shut up. He's trying to build up a fan club. Shut up! Man, what an annoying brat. My nigga's just trying to loot and shit. I thought I'd build up a concert. No, nothing special from this diarrhea outpost. Ah, that reminds me of that video. No, actually it reminds me of that, you know, Mario Party video where Brian was saying Dahi Denogla has Tim Burton teeth. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, they call him Johnny Burton, aka Johnny Quest. But actually Tim Burton's real name is Timothy Burton, I think something Maxwell. A little weird. And yes, if you don't know what's written on a person's birth record, and you want to claim you're a fan of Tim Burton films or a fan of the movie director, you would know all the ins and outs of the young man's full history, including birth record and history, general existence, name changes that may have occurred. You'd know all that stuff. Really? So where's the other one? No, I don't need no fan club. Shut up. You're always trying to build up a damn fan club with all these damn sirens, and I don't need it. So, Tim Burton's making another movie. It's called A Snaggletooth Irish Nightmare Before Christmas. Oh my god. That was funny. I could probably take that clip out of context, copy it, after literally downloading the clip or whatever, and then put it down. Tim Burton's new movie, A Snaggletooth Nightmare, or Snaggletooth Irish Nightmare Before Christmas. And all it's gonna be is Brian screaming in the background complaining in Mario Party. While showing several outtakes from a different channel that they have together. And I'll just be straight up honest, I'm not a hater, but you know, you give somebody ammo and now you got a movie set. And all I gotta do is say, I takes it like I sees it. I'm only putting it out there because you gave me ammo. Tim Burton's An Irish Nightmare Before Christmas. Snaggletoothing its way into theaters today. Ah, do I not like Dahi Denogla? Yeah, the honest truth is, Dahi Denogla is a normal guy just like everybody else. It's just, he's not a very good businessman. When I speak of like crew-based material, I mean like usable app preference functions. Instead of always trying to make a profit, you should always give back to your community in some way or another. And by giving back to them, you don't add the $ membership check mark. Because once you start making dollar per dollar premium content, you pay $5 to get this premium extra content and stuff. No, the most you want to do is have, you know, and I'll put it like this, the most you ever want to do is like have it the way you want to. It was like with a Terrorizer stream that I tuned into. The guy changed it into a subscriber only stream in the middle of it while I was actually watching it, and I was just like, well, I mean, the stream is still going, so the page didn't update even after he did that. But I couldn't send any more messages. So I just sat there and I was watching the stream basically for free. Didn't have to pay the $5 per month or nothing like that. I kind of just stayed in chat watching. I think it was an Elden Ring stream that happened on. But point being is that, you know, you get what you pay for. Roughly, you get what you pay for. Now right now, my current stats for my player is literally 120 melee skills, 127 points to pistol, 120 rifles, 16 shotguns, and 120 machine gun skills. Since there hasn't been really any new heavy machine guns put into the game or any new assault rifles that required like stat point level 135 or so. I'll tell you, the last heavy or basically machine gun you're going to see would be the Sentinel Sandstorm S19 and the Sentinel S19. The Hammerhead 47, the Amber Raider at 120 skill points, XAK-47, standard 7.5 and 12mm, the Hair Trigger 47, but that's like a no skill point requiring one. Amethyst Raider, which is basically a commando. So the Amethyst Raider is a commando assault rifle. And these are all just 120 stat machine guns. And then the only craftable machine gun is the LR32, which is a 9mm rifle. It's 75 round capacity, fast reload speed, and it says fucking fast attack speed. It's basically like a reskin of the Chris Vector, but featuring 9mm rifle bullets. And then you have its only one level 135, which is called the Warhawk X10. It says can be looted in Raven Ridge by gold members, can be crafted by obtaining materials from Raven Ridge from bandits and devil hounds. Wow. And I'll tell you two things. Devil hounds and frost hounds are sort of similar. They kind of have a chance of dropping certain types of loots. Devil hounds really can't be faced off alone with, because once they get into that, you know, critically damaged and rage state, it'll be pretty hard to face off with them alone without having like a metal fence between you and them. And that's just giving it to you straight, so that way you're not wondering, how come I got my ass handed to me facing off with this devil hound? Well, a devil hound requires a 24-hour stat booster. Perfect, and I'm gonna tell you this, when I say perfect, I mean perfectly upgraded equipment, basically meaning 124 endurance, 124, you know, it's like 124 endurance and a 124 agility stat to really get yourself going. You also need your dexterity up in order to increase your movement speed as well. It just helps with the survival portion of it. Because believe me, you won't survive. Now, I faced off with a devil hound before, but I got lucky enough to run into the military outposts. Because I think it only takes like 1 or 2 bites and then you're pretty much finished. Even with Tataku armor, which I usually have on, it can get shredded pretty quickly. And for those of you who may not know, a single devil heart runs pretty expensive. It is not cheap. You're roughly looking at 600k. If you consume the devil heart, one of two things are going to happen. One, you're going to get 6 hours with a 35% speed boost versus the regular 15 minutes you'll get from using, you know, consumables like steroids or adrenaline and stuff like that, or stimulated drugs, which give you only a 15-minute speed boost. But you can find the materials that you're looking for in Raven Rock. That kind of stuff actually is abundantly helpful. But you'll get small and short bursts, which means like 15-minute booster basically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I got 5 barricade kits. I'm going to take 2 with me. Now, in order for me to make it anywhere, I need to have perfectly boosted armor. Minimum 120 skill stat endurance. In order to make it in the southeastern zone. And because they upped the general speed of my weapon's fire rate. Now, I could do my stats again, but it would greatly affect its accuracy and everything if I threw it into the dexterity. Although it would make it easier to grind for material and stuff like that, it would genuinely make it harder to survive. So at my current stat setup, I'd have to boost up my reloading capabilities first. And then go for another boost type, which would be my dexterity. Because all of my other skills are sitting at 70 points on the accuracy, 70 points on critical. I currently have 84 or 85 points into my reloading, plus the mastercrafted stats, which won't give me a perfect 124 or 124 unless it's god-crafted material. But if I look on the upside, at least I don't gotta waste too much time. Looks like 12 gauge ammunition had gone through another drop in price. I'm gonna sell it for 3,500. I'm not gonna sell it for any more than that because there's already enough crap on the table. It's pretty much turn a person's head inside out in this game. 10K. Now, for those of you who are wondering, 100 credits runs at 5.7 million, or 5,700,000 for a single 100 credits. Now, that's a quick way to make some money selling some credits. But the best thing you're off for doing is probably just going to the yard or buying some more credits and then going from there. Now, stat reset costs a bit of money. Every day you get a challenge, and the challenge can be completed simply by doing menially obscure tasks, but it also offers you that. One of the best challenges you could end up with is the challenge where you're just like collecting materials or killing bandits. Although you gotta kill 60 of them, if you break it down, you get a pretty decent armor that costs about $1 million or 2.5 million. I'm finishing my Kickstarter. Kickstart. Energizing grape. Mountain Dew Kickstart. It actually is pretty much a better alternative, to be honest with you, for an energy drink. If I drink Monsters or if I drink a Red Bull, if I drink the Red Bull, I'm going to feel hyped and energized, but there's like one major drawback with Red Bull. Although I feel hyped and energized, the major drawback is that it'll send you to the toilet. So you immediately have to go use it. BIO. A bioreactive is roughly under $1 million. It currently goes for $850,000, a bioreactive. I used to have a steel case reactive as well, but that one was actually annoying. Plus, before the collections book even came into existence, I actually sold it. And exterminator reactives, like the XT models. You got helmets, you got exterminator meshes. You got Exterminator Mesh GTs, which I've already gotten one from off the marketplace. I've pretty much got every possible Exterminator armor and put a lot of the armors into that. I used to have a lot of Exterminator reactives, but then the XTs were going for $1 million for a while. And that was when people started buying out the lower end armors because of level 45 repair and whatever. And people were buying out the lower end Exterminator reactive XTs, and they were charging roughly, and I'm gonna tell you this, they were charging roughly $1 million for a piece of armor, like the reactives. And they weren't really like being fair. The person was kind of like taking over the market. Nowadays, a reactive goes for $48,000, but their price market margin was really shit originally. And it was thanks to whoever kept buying out all the armors and then putting them back on the market for $1 million each. Somebody went through the huge process of doing that, and because of that issue, I believe they saw substantial consequences for manipulating the market in such a horrible way that it kind of crippled it for a while. Because crippling a market isn't a good thing. And it's like it kind of made the game unplayable, and one of the various reasons why it was unplayable is because nobody could afford armor, and people had to stay stuck with their shitty armor, like the Exterminator reactives. They had to stay stuck with that for like a while. So if you had the money for the Exterminator Reactive XT, which was roughly going for like around 40 and between 40 and $170,000 in this game, roughly you were stuck with your Exterminator Reactive, not the XT variant, for like an extraordinary amount of time, and it would take a long time if you weren't a gold member of grinding. So roughly 2 or 3 weeks of grinding materials, finding food, and literally wearing out the nearby local loot spots to the point where it just wasn't any more fun. I was looking for something. But yeah, it was just really bad. And personally speaking, I literally had to go through that. I was stuck with Exterminator Reactives here at the Secronom Bunker Zone, and looting wasn't that great. It was really bad. And if I looted an XT, I was pretty happy that I got an XT out of it, because it saved me money. With every boss fight that I faced, with every XT I actually had, only 2 of the XTs I bought. And I used to have a total of literally 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I had about 9 reactive XTs. When I found a Shinobu mesh from a boss drop after getting some GM, I kept that one. When I found the Tatakus and stuff like that, I only found 1 of them. And the other one I bought from off of the marketplace without using any credits. Definitely worth the amount of protection it offered. But I had a total of 9 reactive XTs, and the remaining were just better armor than it, just based off a stat. But I kept the Shinobu mesh in case I ever took critical damage in order to give myself that 5% speed boost. And it does come in handy, that 5%. Because it could really spare me a lot of trouble later down the road. No, I don't have a lot of XP, but I got 4.79,410,000 XP out of 7 million. I need to see if there's an actual boss I can do that isn't bandit related. 1 up, 2 left. An FGS. I guess I could do that. Okay, I'm gonna jump back in. They're gonna go see a flaming giant spider about an appointment with some food. I know you can't see anything, but you know, some people who claim that they've been playing this game for a long time and that they've been playing it since like 2011. No, not a lot of people have been playing this game since 2011. It's also the reason why I don't jump into the Discord for this game, because there's a lot of toxic bitches on there that never document the bad things that happen. Some people here are willing to throw life and limb and to try to expose where you live in order to prove a point. And then I just straight up tell them, go ahead, expose where I live. It's not going to make a difference. I said, I've been here from whenever I first discovered the game, and I started documenting all the events. Some people didn't realize this, but like inside of my general support ticket area with the Dead Frontier staff and everything, I have conversations still sitting on my Dead Frontier support ticket page proving the evidential factor and discoveries of bugs. And loads of weird bugs, including some that gave some weapons at an unfair, ridiculous amount of damage. Now, a lot of people say, nuh-uh, that's not true. Well, if that was true, then how come it wasn't shown back then? And I said, you didn't have a DPS counter. You didn't have the ability to count the damage. But I was noticing that nobody was reporting it, that, you know, their unlimited GAU 19 when it came out was doing significantly 3 times more damage than it's supposed to. Essentially, if you're looking at the standard DPS ratio or a critical hit being anywhere between what you would see with the Wrath Cannon, like 100 points or so, you'd be doing 300 or so damage per every blow. So let's say an entire shotgun style burst hits the enemy. And since when it fires out, it fires anywhere between 1 and 5 projectiles. That's 5 times 300 damage, which is roughly over 1,000 hit points of damage when you really break it all down. That literal over 1,000 hit points of damage is what made it sort of a formidable thing to have. And yes, the bug spanned for about a month until they could narrow down what was causing it. But after about a month, they've managed to reformat the weapon, which accidentally broke the gun for a little while, which then required it to be redone again. And yes, the limited GAU 19 has been broken like 3 or 4 times during server-side updates. But just because it broke didn't mean that it wasn't unlimited, except for in that one case, people noticed that it wasn't unlimited anymore. So, yes, Generation 1's unlimited ammo heavy machine gun was a little awkward. But I will tell you this. The only unlimited pistol that originally existed in the game was the Dusk Enforcer, which was strictly mostly a loot weapon. So that was the only unlimited weapon that I knew about when I was younger, was the Dusk Enforcer at level 220. So if you had the Dusk Enforcer whenever you got level 220 in the earlier days, you could have turned it into the X Dusk Enforcer in the craft shop. Originally, blueprints weren't required. Blueprints are now required to actually create the X Dusk Enforcer. Along with 10 experimental parts, and I think 15 Devil Hound hearts, and 15 volatile hides. In order to get volatile hides, you have to kill a volatile leaper. So you see that guy with big feet walking in the distance? Right here, the only one that's pale skin colored. A volatile leaper crawls on all fours. He's basically crawling on the ground like an animal, on all fours, and this volatile leaper is essentially a mutant human being who got unlucky and transformed into that. Yeah, that's right, you bums. You better back off. But yeah, volatile leapers. They give you volatile hide, which is necessary for specific crafting recipes, especially for specific weapons past level 120 requirement. It's also required for certain armors. Now, for some of you who don't know, some armor may become craftable in the near future, including some of the most expensive armor you may see on a credit shop. But this hasn't yet been discussed, and since Neil Yates still owns the original game, the base game of Dead Frontier, and every first iterational version of Dead Frontier, which took off from a Flash game. Yeah, Dead Frontier. Then you had Dead Frontier Night 1, Dead Frontier Night 2, Dead Frontier Night 3. Night 1 and 2 were sort of in like a general based area where it was surviving wave after wave after wave of essentially infected. You would get dropped ammunition, health, or whatever would fall off of them. And this would sort of help and aid in your survival in the small time that you had to like run around a small block. This kind of stuff actually did help whenever you were actually playing the game. You can find all of Neil Yates' original work from when he was working in the Flash game days. You can find all of his original work here on Dead Frontier, and you'll see it under the Arcade tab, because it'll be listed as our arcade games. Now, there were other variations of his game, including the text version of his game. And the text version of his game had specified outlooks, or viewpoints. But it did have music, it did have the ability for you to make cognitive choices and select whatever it is you wanted to do in the game. So, you know, each choice had a consequence. So was it realistic? Yeah, it kind of was, because you gotta think about it. If a horde of infected are ripping apart one of your co-workers and there's blood all over the floor, the last thing you want to do is go running through that pile of blood that's all over the floor, because if you don't have non-slip shoes, you're gonna bust your ass and end up in the pile of that feeding frenzy. So you want to look for an alternate route out. It's like uber weird. I kind of remember playing it quite a few times, and I took a look at all the fails, I took a look at all of the information. During a zombie apocalypse, you want to examine every individual. So if you're on a city bus, you don't want to stay on that city bus for too long. You want to tell the bus driver to stop somewheres immediately after getting on it. So let him take you down the street, and when you feel like something is getting a little bit too hectic or intense, you tell him, pull over somewheres and let you out only from the front door, and then you can go from there. You don't want to be on a bus longer than maybe 60 seconds or a minute, because a lot can happen in 1 minute. Somebody that's on the bus could all of a sudden turn, and all of a sudden it's a feeding frenzy inside of a bus and there's no way out. So it's like one of the things you want to avoid. You got night 1, night 2, night 3. There's also night 4, which actually is the credits of the game. And then you got Corner Shop, which is like the credits of the Dead Frontier game. Because if you click on the intro, it shows you the video, and this was actually made by a fan of the game. Hey, this is what I'm talking about. Assuming that it actually is capturing my desktop. And this is that fan-made introduction film they made. And later, this introduction video was later used as sort of like a ploy or a plot, which later led to the development of an even different game, which Neil Yates had hidden under his thumb from everybody. But seeming I was a fan of Dead Frontier, I knew about Dead Frontier 2's existence before everyone else could. Approximately a few months before announcement, where he announced that he was working on it, I knew a lot about the ins and outs, but I did exactly as Mr. Yates asked. Do not reveal a thing about it. I stayed quiet. And I let him do all the announcing. Now you see that right there? Signs of infection. You want to pay attention to those signs. Random vomiting, pale skin, etc. You want to pay attention to all that. And that's Dead Frontier. And as you notice that the letter T looks like a cross. And the reason why is because these people actually have some religious ideals. Which means, I guess, the people of Fairview, or Fairhaven, or Fairview, I forgot what it was called. I think it's Fairview, because whenever you used to like load in to this game, it would say like, oh yeah, it's Fairview. fairview.deadfrontier.com. So it's kind of how it is. It's an online MMORPG. That little fan-made video eventually was pretty good, and then it became the official introduction into the game. So if you start a new profile or a new player, you'll see that introduction, which I think you can skip. But overall, the introduction is kind of what makes it as is. I definitely enjoy it, and I definitely play this game quite often. Why? I wouldn't know why. That's weird. I'm looking at the pocket cannon stats and it shows no machine gun skills required. I'm going to the credit shop and look at it. Why is a Vulcan cannon not down there with the remaining heavy or miniguns? It's up here with the SMGs. Yeah. If you go out and you buy a pocket cannon, you don't need actually any stats for this firearm. Pocket cannon uses 50 cal handgun bullets, 50 caliber handgun, basically 50 AE Action Express. Very slow reload speed, ultra fucking fast firing speed, very low accuracy, 0 critical chance. Now, if you look at the Tempest, you have a very low critical chance. The Wrath Cannon, very low critical chance. And its unlimited version, which is also very low. But the Pocket Cannon comes with no critical chance opportunity for various reasons. One, it requires no machine gun skills at all to wield. So you can technically have a minigun, as they would call it, but in this case, since it's only a 50 caliber version using 50 caliber handgun ammunition, this would be considered a microgun, because a minigun would be wielding calibers exceeding Action Express. And since I have a pocket cannon, it kind of tells you that I could run around with it and completely toss away my unlimited cannon or whatever the hell it is I want to toss away. But why would you toss that away? But the pocket cannon's current value is rather expensive out on the marketplace. The pocket cannon goes for $4.8 million. God crafted, $4.8 million. It's the cheapest minigun on the market, and its ammunition right now for a set of 1,600, its ammunition is going for $16,000. $16,000. You multiply that by 4 or 5 slots. If you got a reload speed of 124, or I think it's 120 max stat, then you pretty much got what you need. It means you'll reload the weapon relatively fast like a regular minigun, and that the weapon will be subsequently better. The pocket cannon's got a lot of ammunition, doesn't have a lot of knockback power. I'll let you know that right off the bat, so that way you're not sitting there wondering, how come it's not pushing them back? Well, the pocket cannon is about as effective as its ammunition is, and since it's only using 50 caliber rounds, and it's spitting them out of a, minigun, doesn't got too much knockback. You'll get better knockback out of the Vulcan cannon, which I remember looting during that event. I looted a Vulcan cannon called God, G.O.D. I also looted several sweeper shotguns, and I put a few of them on there. One of them was called Dislocated Shoulder, and the other one's called Protecta, which is sitting in my collections book. There used to be higher loot ratios, and the Goretooth 44G is one of the many weapons I've looted and mastercrafted in the game. It used to be 15,000 to mastercraft, and I used to mastercraft a lot of armors and weapons and then scrap them immediately after mastercrafting in order to increase my market price margin of gain. The Junker 6 I looted at the hospital on the southeast end zone and the northeast end zone. I got lucky and I looted the Junker 6. The M4, which is literally called M4, and it's God crafted, I looted that during a special event where there was random loot boxes falling around. The Outposts Guards M82A2, I also looted that from random falling boxes. And it was like random loot crates that were just falling around in Fairview. Loot crate events are very important because it helps you capture unique items. Fortunately, these unique items actually aren't a part of the actual collections book. And it actually is a good thing that they're not a part of the collections book because, to be honest with you, to have to go out and get all these unique items and stuff like that and then have to add them to the collections book would only add it to even more bigger pain in the ass. I'm not entirely sure if there's a special reward for collecting all the weapons, including going out of your way to collect extremely expensive armors. So I have no idea. This also includes collecting an abundant amount of implants. Now, personally, I want to collect everything possible with this collection book because it's giving me much more of a better task to do. But I only have 255 out of 655. That's 400 more items to go. Under my melee weapons, I've gotten most of the melee weapons, including craftable weaponry. I still need to get a Ripsaw G12, which cost a few million. The Mutilator G12, which was a credit shop item, I believe, or that's a Southeast End Zone weapon. The Goretooth 44G, which I'm not going to take out of my inventory and toss in here. The Sharktooth Ripper is a craftable weapon. The Dusk Saw is a desk shop. Anything dusk related, the Dawn Saw, part of the desk shop related business and crafting material. Flesh Reaver. And then it says Patriarch Parasite, which is a chainsaw type. 100% chance to stun an enemy for 0.15 seconds. It does 5 hits per second. The Frying Pan, which is a part of the hardcore Iron Man challenge. The Frying Pan. The Titanium Blades. That's 100 credits, so it makes it roughly 5.8 million. The Spiker, which essentially is an affordable axe, but you used to be able to go to the Southeast End Zone before the new enemies were implemented. Now it's really hard to get anything done in the Southeast End Zone. The only way to loot decent material is to go to the bunker. The Gore Spiker, Gore Spike War Axe, can be found at the Southeast End Zone, so you're more likely to pick that one up. The Piercer, Dual Blades, those are also expensive. The Bone Cleaver, which is actually a million. The X Hammer is a craftable. X Kukuri, craftable. Inquisitor, also a craftable. X Dusk Crisp, craftable, but requires the Dusk Crisp. The Decapitator, the Dawn Crisp, Dusk Razor, X Dusk Razor, Dawn Blade, Bloodseeker, which is, I believe, another craftable, and the X Dusk Razor. Oh, sorry. Looks like it was a page error. The Doomstar, which is also another craftable melee weapon. Looks like several little spikes or blades poking out of what is essentially a morning star. So it's a morning star with bladed spikes rather than pointed spikes. So that does pretty much for most of the melee weapons. And all the ones that I did name are all the ones that I'm actually missing. The Frying Pan can only be obtained through the Hardcore Iron Man challenge. So even though you don't get anything, you can still transfer over the Frying Pan. The Ash 12, which I'm currently in possession of, can be sent there. The Mirage S8, these are all obtainables, including the Greyhawk 55, the Daystar, the Double Shot Axe, the X-Python, another craftable, the Rhea 55, craftable, QR22 Obsidian, craftable, Dusk Enforcer, only Dusk-based shop. Most of these are craftable weapons or Dusk-related. And it's good to look at the amount of stuff, because I can definitely get my hands on a Rhea 55 or a Daystar, Double Shot Axe, X-Python, or the Greyhawk 55, the Mirage S8, and the Ash 12 can definitely be pretty much added to this book, but it costs a few million to get your hands on it. I've gotten a majority of the rifles. The Rebellion costs real credits to get, the Iron Sight 33F costs credits, the Pierce Shot 33. That was only found over there in the Southeast End Zone. The Warg Carbine can be looted, the X Grand. I'm not putting that in there because I use it, because I only have one. I've crafted 2 X Grands and 3 X AK-47s total in the entirety of this game. So if you're wondering, have I ever done it? Yes, I have. I have literally crafted certain things in this game. I can probably make this one the Terminator TX12. I'm probably going to need to use an uncommon metal bar in order to make it though. I have a sleeper shotgun to spare, so I could toss it in to cover that one. Let me see what its requirements are. Need to grab the money in order to freaking actually afford to be able to make the conversion. Let's see, uncommon metal scrap times 2. I should have that in here. There we go. And because this one is already God crafted, this TX Terminator 12 would be a God crafted version of it. And there you go. Dislocated shoulder TX12 shotgun. So there we go on that book. So I could add that one to the collections book because I do have just a standard sweeper shotgun already in there. It'll cost $97,400 to take out this collections book weapon. What else can I do? Not entirely sure, but looks like there's just bandits around where I'm at. And I honestly don't want to do another bandit-based event. Yeah, not entirely sure if I'm going to do any more here. I could try to grind for another set of XP in order to increase my stats. Which I need to look at them. Without the armor equipped, any guns equipped in my inventory. Current stats and accuracy and critical hit 70, 100 agility, 100 endurance, 100 strength, 84 reloading, 0 dexterity, and 0 stealth. 120 melee, 127 pistol, 120 rifle, 16 shotgun skills, 120 machine gun, and 0 explosives. Those are my literal base stats. Personally, this is not a very evenly balanced build, and even then, you don't have enough stats or functions or enough God-crafted equipment to really survive. So, you wouldn't survive using this account too well. I get screwed over so many times off camera that I just genuinely also state that this account is also very unplayable. But it was playable to my design, which gave me challenge, but at the same time annoyance. Well, I don't know exactly how to change my stream title or anything, at least how to change stream-based material. But I'm happy to have been streaming for the past hour or so. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to beat up and smash that like button if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and take a break. I think I'm going to throw up, and that's one of the reasons why. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.